Okay, I'd like to welcome everybody. We acknowledge the land upon which we work and live, the First Nations and their nations, and recognize their connection to the land, water, and community, and we continue to learn, listen, and grow together. And I welcome everybody, call the meeting to order, approve of the agenda, please.
Be it hereby resolved that the agenda for the December 4th, 2024 regular meeting of council be adopted as printed and circulated.
Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Demers, second by Councillor Banbury. All in favor? And opposed, if any, and that's carried. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest? Oh, I'm not seeing any. And the minutes from November 20th.
Be it hereby resolved that the minutes of the November 20th, 2024 regular meeting of council be adopted as printed and circulated.
Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Young, second by Councillor Barnes. All in favor? Opposed, if any, and that's carried. Any business arising from the minutes? Not seeing any. And we have a public meeting, resolution for that.
Be it hereby resolved that council rise and go into a public meeting under the Planning Act to consider applications for zone change and an application for plan of subdivision, official plan amendment, and zone change. ZN 12421 for 216-2037 Ontario Incorporated and SB 21021, OP 21061, and ZN 2101 for Tiffany Development Corporation, and that Mayor Peterson chair the public meeting.
Okay, can I get a mover and a second, please? Moved by Councillor Demers, second by Councillor Young. All in favor? Opposed, if any, and that's carried. Okay, I'm officially opening this public meeting, which is being held under the Planning Act for the purpose of hearing an application for zone change in the Township of Blandford-Blenheim. I'd like to advise those in attendance that the Ontario Land Tribunal has the power to dismiss an appeal if an appellant has not provided the council with oral submission at a public meeting or written submission before a bylaw is passed. Pursuant to recent changes under Bill 185, appeals are now generally limited to the applicant, a registered owner, a public body, specific persons, or the minister. I would like to ask those in attendance that if you wish to receive notification of council's decision, they should sign the sheet by the door. It's on the shelf at the back there, at the rear of the room. I now ask council members to state any disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof. I'm not seeing any. There are two applications being considered today. The first application is ZN 1-24-21, 216-2037 Ontario Incorporated for lands at the southeast corner of McQueen Street and Victoria Street West intersection. The application is to amend the township zoning bylaw, and Dustin, if you could present that, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good afternoon, members of council, staff, and those in attendance here today. The application before you concerns lands in the village of Princeton that are approximately 1,812 meters square and are currently zoned R1 at the corner of McQueen Street and Victoria Street West. The application before you is to rezone the subject lands from an R1 to an R1 special zone in order to recognize the undersized nature in both lot area and lot depth of the lot in order to permit a 1,600 square foot single detached dwelling. As a result of the circulation to internal departments and agencies, no comments were received, nor were any comments received from members of the public. In staff's opinion, the application before you does meet the intent of both the provincial planning statement and the official plan in their intent for intensification of residential uses inside of settlements such as Princeton, and for also efficiently using public services such as water, in this case in Princeton. The lot itself is currently 1,812 meters square, where the minimum lot size is 2,800 meters square, and the lot as it exists today has a lot depth of 45 meters, whereas 50 meters is required. The intent of these provisions is to ensure that the lot is large enough to accommodate the required private services, so in this case, septic. And when it comes to existing lots that are undersized, we do rely on the local chief building official to help us to determine whether or not what's being proposed is appropriate for these lands, given the lot size and the need for the septic. And in this case, no concerns were raised with what was being proposed and the lot size itself. So with that being said, we are here recommending support for the application tonight.
Okay, thank you, Dustin. Are there any questions from council regarding the staff report? Oh, I'm not seeing any. Does the applicant or agent wish to speak regarding this application? No. No? Okay. Are there any interested parties in attendance who wish to speak to this application? Not seeing any. Okay, are there any members of council that have any questions or require any further information for clarification? Go ahead, Councillor Demers.
Just a quick question. I noticed on one of the, I just noticed on one of the attachments that there was reference to both a standard septic system and a tertiary system, and I wondered, is that still being considered, or has a decision been made on one or the other? Can accommodate a full system?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Demarest. Both options were shown on the plan. That was the will of the applicant to show that both options could fit on there, and the CBO did review both options. Has one been chosen over the other? I wouldn't know. I'd have to defer to the applicant.
Okay, anything else from council? Nope, okay. This application will be dealt with by council at its regular meeting following this public meeting. And the second application is an application for plan of subdivision, official plan amendment, and zone change SB 21-02-1, OP 21-06-1, and ZN 1-21-01, Tiffany Development Corporation for lands on the north side of Oxford Road 29, Oxford Road East between Duke Street and Blenheim Road. And Dustin, if you could present that, please.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the applications before council now are in relation to the lands that are in the northeast corner of Jumbo. The lands themselves are approximately 36 acres in size and are just to the east of Jarvis Street and just to the north of Oxford Street east. This is just a zoomed in aerial of the lands in question. They are currently used for agricultural purposes, and they do allow for access to an existing farm dwelling, I'll call it, which currently has a laneway connecting to Jarvis Street. So before you here is the proposal for the lands as a whole. In black is the entire built-out project if it came to fruition, and that would be looking at approximately 201 to 255 dwellings, and that'd be a mix of singles and towns. And the reason there is a range is it just depends on how many towns ultimately are built, depending on how wide they wish to build them in the end. So the red in here is showing with the 47 single detached dwellings that are being proposed as part of phase 1. The two orange blocks contain a total of 15 townhomes. The green block is a park block that is approximately 1.1 acres in size. And the blue block is a stormwater management pond block that is approximately 1.8 acres in size, according to the data that's been provided. So to clarify for council, tonight we are not considering the entirety of the subdivision. We're looking at just phase 1, which the applicants have proposed as containing 47 single detached dwellings and 15 townhomes. Currently, the subject lands are designated in the county's official plan as low-density residential. Through the submitted official plan amendment application, a portion of these lands would be proposed to be redesignated from low-density residential to medium-density residential, which is shown in red. And then both the park block and the stormwater management block would be designated for, open space. The remaining lands inside of the subject lands, so within the block lines, they would remain as being designated as low-density residential. As the lands exist today, they have split zoning, so the majority is zoned to D8, which is a special development zone, and then there is a small portion that is zoned as a special A2 zone. Through the submitted zone change application, they would be looking to rezone a portion of the lands from the D8 and the A229 zone to an R1 special. The blocks that would contain the townhome dwellings would be to an R3 special. The park block would be zoned to an open space zone. And then the swim pond would be rezoned to a special open space zone. The remainder of the lands would remain the D8 special zone that currently exists here today. Excuse me. So as part of the application for the R1 special, there are a number of reliefs that are being requested, including the frontages, lot areas, front yard depths. I'm not going to go through each individual one, but in terms of the R3 special zone, they're asking for relief for the front yard depth, the interior side yard width, and the lot coverage. And then in the OS special, which is where your swim block is, they're asking for a reduction in the minimum lot frontage from 20 meters to 6 meters. Like I said, I'm not going to go through each individual one, but I can say that we have reviewed each individual one, and we do believe that they can be supported as currently presented. In terms of comments that were received as a result of the internal and external circulations, Enbridge, Canada Post, Hydro One, Bell, Rogers, they've provided their standard subdivision comments. The County Public Works Department has provided a number of conditions, as they generally do, and they've been included in your package. But one comment I did want to bring council's attention to is regarding the number of units in Phase 1. They have advised that for the Phase 1, they are comfortable in supporting 47 units, but they are not comfortable at supporting 62 units. And for some background on this, this comes from the internal wastewater and water protocol that the county has. And the intent is to look at situations where in this case, the wastewater treatment plant has a finite number of capacity, and you're supposed to be keeping track of how much is going out and being very mindful as you're reaching that limit. So the protocol allows you to have up to 25 units at a time being approved. But it does allow for discretion for the Public Works Department. And in this case, Public Works, in order to allow for the looping of the water system, is comfortable at 47 units, which is, of course, above and away the 25 units. But at 62 units, Public Works feels that is getting just simply too far away from the standard 25 that is generally allowed. So I just wanted to put that on council's radar. At the time that the report was created and this slideshow, no comments were received from the public. However, we did receive a letter or an email today from a member of the public just asking for decisions that occur to be provided moving forward. So to summarize, the staff do believe that the proposal does follow the intent and direction of the provincial policy statement, also known now as the provincial planning statement. We do believe that it meets the intent and purpose of the official plan. And as I did mention regarding the special zoning provisions, we have reviewed them and believe that they are supportable. So here tonight we are recommending that council approve in principle the submitted zone change application. We are recommending that Township Council advise County Council that they support the submitted official plan amendment, but we are recommending that instead of the 62 units that are being proposed, that staff are recommending that Township Council advise County Council that it supports an initial phase of 47 units instead of 62. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dustin. Before I get on to asking for comments and questions, just for people that don't normally come here, So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the list like I did last time. I'll ask council to further discussions, then I'm going to ask for the applicant. And if I can get, and then I'll ask for comments from the audience that are here. When you do, if you can come up to the stand that's right here, and please state your name for record, and this way when you're on, people that are at home will be able to hear you with the microphone in case somebody wants to hear. So that's the way I'm going to go about process going forward, okay? Okay, are there any questions from council regarding the staff report? Councillor Demarest.
Thank you. With respect to the 25-unit protocol that's now in place and the agreement by water wastewater to that 47 is an okay number. There's mention of because it facilitates the looping of systems.
Yeah.
Is that an efficiency gain by doing 47 instead of 25?
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to advise I'm not an engineer, but I will do my best. So my understanding from conversations with the Public Works Department about the looping, it's concerning the water system specifically. And if I understand the rationale correctly, they are looking to ensure that there are 2 points of contact for the water. So by allowing one contact on Oxford Street East and also one on Jarvis Street, that is what they're looking for. So by allowing the road extending from Jarvis Street and then eventually down, if I can just go back on here. So if we just use this, for example, you can see Jarvis Street being extended, and then Street F, I believe it is showing north-south to Oxford Street East. My understanding, by allowing the system to loop, it will be the water system or the water lines will come down Street C, then down Street F, and that allows for the 2 points, one at Oxford Street East, one at Jarvis Street. And by doing so, it allows for all of these homes along here, which are all singles, 47 singles, to be developed. What Public Works is saying is they're okay with doing that, but adding these on just for the sake of adding them on is not something that they're supporting at this time. So they are willing to work with the applicant for sure in this case, but there is a threshold that they're willing to work with.
Okay, any other comments or questions from council? Not seeing any? Okay, does the applicant or agent wish to speak regarding this application? If so, if you can come to the stand, please.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Brendan Flewelling with GSP Group. I'm joined by Walter Bruce, the developer of the property. And perfect, I have a short presentation. I'd like to start by saying, appreciate Dustin's report and his presentation. We've certainly worked together to get to this point. Council probably remembers we've been here in the past through the secondary plan process, and this development has been proposed. We've been working on it since 2019, and that's not to say we've been at it forever because of delays. It's just a secondary plan and having to bring it forward. So we've been highly engaged in this process and excited to be here to discuss the application formally tonight. And as I said, for the most part, we're supportive of Dustin's comments and certainly the recommendation in terms of the zoning amendment and the official plan amendment component, but do really want to speak a little bit further to the draft plan itself and the number of units and the rationale for that. Next slide, please. So as Dustin showed, there's a couple things to consider. First of all, the entirety of the subdivision, as Dustin outlined in his presentation, would provide for a total of 200 to 250 units, depending on the ultimate lotting of the townhouse blocks. It's pretty common in subdivision plans to, obviously the single detached lots get lotted out, the frontages, but townhouse blocks are a little more subject to market demand and interest and size. So when you go to register the plan, you determine the frontage and the size of the townhouse lots that would be accommodated. So that's why there's a bit of fluctuation in the total numbers. So in many municipalities, you'd see a draft plan come forward. If there was, I guess unlimited servicing capacity is one constraint off the table, but you'd see the draft plan come forward. The entirety of the draft plan would be approved, and then phases would be registered, as they come on stream. And certainly, I know council's seen that in other subdivisions. So what's before you tonight is the entirety of the draft plan as far as the official plan and zoning goes, but then really the first phase of approval, which we, through a lot of discussion and back and forth with Dustin and Public Works and so on, we feel that a number of 62 units is appropriate. It provides for good engineering design. Further to the councilor's question earlier about the looping, as Dustin said, it's really about making sure there's no dead ends in the service so that water's always flowing and somebody's not at the end of the pipe and there's not sort of clean water going through. That leads to 2 points of street connection, which works out really well on this plan, as you can see. As Dustin noted, we connect to Jarvis Street and we connect down to Oxford. The first phase, as identified, will include a park block. It includes a stormwater management block. And it's a significant investment to bring, this subdivision online. There's these early investments in the park and the stormwater management block and creating the initial street network, the pre-grading of the property. There's a lot that goes into getting a subdivision, out of the ground. Certainly 25 lots is going to be difficult for any developer to achieve. In this situation, you'd have, some lots, and then you'd have a long street running with no lots fronting on it. That's a lot of cost to absorb up front. So that's where the discussion with Public Works really went, and the looping, and you can quickly see that, okay, 47 singles, we support that. The rationale for including the 2 townhouse blocks, there's a couple reasons for that. It would complete the south side of Street C, or the extension of Jarvis Street, which will probably continue the name, so that services could be installed at this point in time. That when the road is dug up, when the land is graded, everything could be prepared. Those townhouses could be ready to go. We'll go to the proposed 47 lot plan afterwards, but if you don't do that, you end up with sort of a single loaded street. You install the services for the single detached lots, and then at some point in the future, you have to come back again and do another phase. You have to rip up the street, you have to install the new service connections to the townhouse lots. I guess feasibly you could take the risk and do it now, but you could put those services in, but markets could change, or the townhouse blocks could shift, and then all of a sudden the services aren't in the right place. So you don't want to do that if you can avoid it. By including the townhouse blocks, we think, right off the bat, it provides single detached dwellings, but it also provides townhouse dwellings to give a bit more mix to the community. And we'll look at what they're proposed to look at next. As I said, we've been heavily involved in the secondary plan process that was required to come before this. And Bruce Properties is a significant landowner within the community of Drumbo. So not only this parcel, they have an option for the land directly north, but then also in the southeast quadrant of the town. Bruce is the property owner there, and at the appropriate point in time would like to advance a draft plan application there as well. So we want to make sure that the subdivision overall is a success, that it's done properly, that it builds and grows, and the residents who move in there are happy with the subdivision. They're not living in a perpetual construction zone, with the idea that helps to spur more investment and the future phases to come on. So there's a lot of moving parts that come into this, but that's really the rationale. We're not just asking for more for the purposes of trying to get more in the first phase. It's to complete the street, it's to provide different units, it's to help cover the initial investment of really bringing the land to development readiness, so grading, servicing, all that type of thing. One other comment, and again, this constraint is not unique to Blandford-Blenheim. Lots of communities are struggling with capacity issues. We see it done in lots of different ways. Sometimes, it's very common to see the entire draft plan approved, but then phases brought on at a certain number, so that the capacity or the development doesn't outpace the available capacity. But if the entire subdivision is approved, it also gives that certainty not only to the township and to the county, but also to the developer that, okay, this subdivision for 200 or 250 total units, we know what it is, it's not going to change. It's not quite the scenario here, and Public Works has their policies and protocols. But again, I just want to share that so that it's clear that we're not just asking for more for the sake of being difficult or trying to get dust and gray hair, or, you know, there's a lot of rationale that goes into it. Next slide, please. Speaking of the townhouse units, this is just a sample of what is proposed for those 15 townhouse units. You will notice on the previous plan, the townhouse blocks were in fact lotted out. We knew the frontages and dimensions of the townhouses. And that's so a specific product like this, a bungalow townhouse model, could be brought on board within the first phase. It's intended to be, you know, easy access, probably oriented towards seniors. Whoever buys it, but certainly it would be probably marketed and it would appeal to sort of that demographic, maybe downsizing but still looking to stay in the community. So the phase 1 townhouse blocks have been lotted out to provide for this type of townhouse bungalow dwelling unit. In addition, we've provided concepts to the town of some upgraded light standards that we'd like to see initiated within the subdivision. Again, to help build not just a subdivision, but a community and something that has a sense of place. Next slide, please. So this is just, and Dustin had a good example of this same slide. So this is what would be proposed under the recommendations of the staff report. It includes the park block and the stormwater management block, and then 47 single detached lots, but doesn't include the street townhouses, or, as noted, on the south side of Jarvis Street or Street C. And leads to the concerns that I mentioned earlier about having to go back in the future and service those lots, not being able to provide a mix of unit types right off the start of the development. We still have the same looping of the water main that occurs, the same expense for, you know, bringing the land on to development readiness, but not the benefit of completing the street and having a mix of unit types. So all that being said, next slide, please. And this is a lot of words, we don't have to read it all, but what I've highlighted in red is, again, we support Dustin's recommendation as far as the official plan and the zoning amendment. These proposed recommendations are that it would include the additional townhouse lots. So the zoning would include the special residential type 3 zoning, and the number of single detached, or the number of total units would increase from 47 to 62. I think there's one more slide. And then as far as the specific draft plan conditions, the first one, again, it's just what plate would be referenced in the recommendation, the total for 62 lots. And then draft plan condition 16, way down in the body of the report, again, speaks to 47 units versus 62. So I just highlight that for your consideration as to what a recommendation for the total request would look like of 62 versus 47. So I hope that's clear, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, any questions from council? Councilor Banbury?
Well, my question isn't directed in that direction. It's to, does anyone know what the capacity is for the wastewater treatment plant?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. So when you take into consideration the first phase for the subdivision that was just approved to the south of us, and then also take into consideration the 33 lots on Peterson Street that are registered but undeveloped, Public Works has advised me that there's 94 units worth of capacity in the system. So it proving either if it's 47 or 62, it would come out of the 94 unit pot.
So in other words, there is capacity there to handle.
Yes, there is capacity at this time.
Okay, well, I'll reserve my comments for later.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? Not seeing any? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We may be asking for comments later.
Certainly.
Preston. Okay. Okay. Are there any interested parties in attendance who wish to speak to this application? Anybody? No? Okay. If you can just come up to the stand, please, and state your name.
You'll need to
Welcome.
unlock your iPhone first. Everyone can hear me okay? It's Tasha McKenzie.
Absolutely.
Just a note about the current Peterson development right now. We're left sort of holding the bag because the developer isn't doing anything with that, and I'm just wondering if there's any thoughts to legal clauses that would allow us to reclaim that land in the future. I know that development, we're in a pickle with them, and we have to wait for that. I would hate to see another part of our town just kind of lay in waste for
Yep.
almost 15 years.
Yeah, I'm not sure about commenting on that because we're on the other one, but I know personally I agree 100% with you. I've spoken to this recently at some meetings over it. I don't want to see any more subdivisions that are half done or whatever, and even with the one that's proposed today, I would like to see that done before we move on. I know they have other properties as well, but the same thing, I don't want to have a whole bunch of 4-foot grass lots sitting there out there. I don't think any of the residents do. So I know you have support from council. As far as the Peterson Street, I can maybe make a quick comment, or Dustin. I don't think legally we can't force them to build. Is that not right on those lots? Dustin?
Not that I'm aware of, but I'm not a lawyer either.
Yeah. So it's kind of sitting on hold right now, but that's kind of really what all I can really comment on that.
On that one specifically, but if we know that is a risk moving forward,
Yeah.
should some sort of legal advice be taken to ensure that we don't get in that position?
Yeah, I'm not sure what, maybe somebody else can answer that, but I'm not sure what we can do legally to force somebody to build on a property they own.
It's not about forcing them to build, it's
No.
about reclaiming. If you
Yeah.
have not completed, because you know
Yeah.
how if a street is completed, they get that completion notice.
Yep,
and everything.
yep.
Just if that isn't completed in a certain reasonable amount of time, that there's some procurement back or something that.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. I don't know whether,
Or, yeah, damages.
Yep, I can speak to it.
Yep.
Anyway,
Yep.
Just thought.
Certainly, through you, Mr. Mayor, and to that question, I can say that staff have been in contact with the developer on Peterson Street just to explore if there are any creative solutions to kind of expedite finalizing that development. So those discussions are ongoing. As far as, including a sort of a sunset clause or anything to that effect in these existing approvals, it's something that I would say we historically haven't included. Not to say that we couldn't explore it further, but it would be a little bit unique. So, we certainly understand where you're coming from on that. As far as kind of resolving that issue that you highlighted, those discussions are in the works. But as far as, a sunset clause in this agreement, Dustin, correct me if I'm wrong, but that sort of servicing allocation that the county provides, there's no sort of timeline that's associated with that. That's indefinite. Once those lots are registered, they're registered and they're serviceable. Is that correct?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that is correct. And I don't know how much we want to go down the rabbit hole, but what I will say is there's a difference between lots that have been registered and lots that have been draft approved but not registered, and what we can and cannot do. So when it comes to, in the case of this particular development on Peterson Street, those are registered lots. Those exist legally. But if it was a situation where they got draft approval and they have 3 years to clear all of their conditions in order to register those lots, it's common practice that those 3 years are not hit, and they have to get an extension from council to allow for that draft approval to continue, to give them additional time to meet all of their conditions to register those lots. The difference between registered and draft plan approval is, theoretically, council, when they come for those extensions, council can say, no, you haven't shown progress, we're not giving you extension, and if that's the case, then that draft approval is done. And they have to start from scratch. So now that we're in an environment where we have, finite amount of capacity for wastewater, I think those discussions really need to be considered if we start having developers come for continuous extensions and you're not seeing that progress. But that's a conversation for another day. But that is the difference between registered and draft approved lots.
I hope that helps you.
It does, it satisfies that question.
Okay.
Might have another question.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else that wishes to come up? Come ahead.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ryan Porter. My question is the development for the entire 255 dwellings. Is the entire proposal for all of them happening today or just phase one? My question for that
Go ahead.
being is, I live on Mechanic, and in what I would believe would be the second phase, those lot sizes are smaller. So as it trends from the beginning of Duke down towards Jarvis, we eventually get into a situation where we are going to share our backyard with multiple homes instead of having, excuse me, the same width properties. Can anybody answer that question?
Yep.
Yeah, I need my presentation.
Just give us a
Yes,
second.
sure.
to get that up. So I see what you're saying. So you're saying because the lots are narrower, that you're going to have, you could have two partial lots on your lot.
Basically, in my area, it's almost like there is going to be two homes split right down the center of my backyard.
Yeah. So through you, Mr. Mayor, what I can speak to is your first question. And tonight, we are not looking at the entirety of the 250
For
unit. We're just looking at the area in gray
Yep.
for approval tonight. So anything not in gray is not being considered, and it would remain Zone D, which it currently is now. So there would be no development on those lands until they come back, do this process all again for that next phase. And, I mean, I can't speak for the developer what their phasing looks like, but you theoretically could be a few phases away, you could be the next phase. I would have to defer to Brandon and Walter on that one.
Thank you.
I don't know.
We can discuss that.
Brandon, would you have a comment or don't know yet?
Yeah, I really don't know. I think it depends on capacities and
Sure.
servicing availability, so the next phase is really hard to determine right now.
Yep.
And
Okay.
then, sorry, my other
Sure.
concern would be, without completing these townhomes in that area, I noticed that Peterson for a little while was a dump zone for anybody who wanted to just drop off their local
Yep.
garbage. And that is a major concern for me, living so close to that area and the kids in the school and everything else. We don't know what out-of-town people decide to come and drop off mattresses or household
Yep.
garbage. And if it's not a finished area, that tends to happen quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, that is frustrating. I know. We've seen it all over the township.
Taxes pay for
Yep,
cleanup eventually,
absolutely.
right? Or you stare at it while you're walking your dog through your beautiful hometown.
Yep, yep, absolutely. I know as far as grass heights and things like that, I know we'll be on them to keep it looking at least cut. It won't be cut like your yard, obviously, but to keep that down. I know we've had that issue in some of the others, and we've tried to keep on that to keep them looking at least half decent in there, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Is there anybody else that'd like to come up to the mic, please? Thank you. Just state your name, please.
Hi there, my name's Dave Kimmons. I did hear a lot of talk about capacity in regarding the services that are going to be servicing these lots. My first question is regarding the school capacity and what calculations have been made in regards to that, as well as the police, fire, and ambulance and emergency services. Biggest concern, again, being police. With increasing the density of housing, it's been proven that increasing density of housing increases the rate of crime. We've already been dealing with speeding and a lot of thefts in our small town. So I'm wondering how, we're going to fix that if we're just going to pour more gasoline on the fire by adding more people to the town.
Yep. I'm not sure if I can answer all of those. I know, I believe we have comments, is there not? Are you looking that up now?
I was just going to find the capacity on the school. I
Yeah.
believe it's in the ballpark of 75%.
Yeah,
as it
yeah,
stands.
I think the school is around 75, 80%. I know I did talk to, this was a few years ago now, when this was all pre-COVID, I guess, before everything come to a halt. I did talk to Thames Valley just roughly to somebody and said, what's your plan going forward? And pretty much was, we'll deal with it when we get there. So that tends to be the way that it's dealt with. It seems a shame that we got a brand-new school where they put additions. I can't speak for them for sure, but usually it tends to be, you'll see a whole bunch of portables come in. That seems to be there's the Woodstock School, I think, that's not even built yet. They're already talking about 10 portables being added to it, so that seems to be the kind of thing as far as schooling. As far as Police and fire, I believe fire will be the same protocol as what we have now here, and police will probably be exactly the same as well. I know I get you with the small-time crime that seems to come around all the time, and I'm not sure how you stop it without all of us being vigilant and watching for each other's property. I'm not sure.
So we won't have an increase in police presence.
I would say probably not.
So that kind of leads into, we saw a very absorbent increase in property tax this
Yep.
year. And we're talking about being at peak capacity now for education, police, fire, sanitary, water, all these things that are going to be multi-million-dollar investments for the town in order to service a developer to make money. So it's very tough to swallow without seeing the due diligence being done on the impact of the constituents in the town before we go forward with this development.
So just to give you an example for police, we did talk, I'm on the police services board for the township as well, and we did talk through the township, just kind of roughly about the thoughts of hiring our own police officer here. And from what I understand now, because of the lack of police officers, I don't even think we could get one even if we said we want our own police officer that's in this township all the time. They're just not out there. And some of the others that did do it, Easy T and I think Norwich, both have their dedicated one. They're only dedicated for speed enforcement is pretty much all they're dedicated for. And even some of them have been pulled away from theirs, even though that's their dedicated officer, they've been pulled away because they've been short-staffed in other areas. So, and it is, honestly, it is a very, very expensive venture to get your own police officer. I think it's around, is it about 2%?
About $200K a year.
Yeah, so it's about 200,000 a year, which, to put that in perspective, our budget, 1% is, I'm guessing roughly 85,000, is that roughly, Denise? About 1%, roughly? Yeah, so if you think about policing, if we hired our own police officer alone, it would be over 2% for every resident in the township in a tax increase, which I'm not saying it's not justified, because believe me, I'd like to see us having more than that. But that's just to give you a perspective of what it costs. Our firefighters, we're fully capable here of adding that subdivision on. And if it gets to the point where there is more there, then yeah, we have to have the discussion of adding more firefighters
Yeah, and
to that.
increasing the density with the lack of fire hydrant placement. Again, another multi-million-dollar upgrade that will be
Yep.
required by the town. We also bear that cost through our home insurance, and the lack thereof that.
Yep. Councillor Young.
Perhaps if the CAO wouldn't mind describing DCs and
Yep.
how that contributes to the funds that are required for infrastructure?
Certainly. Through you, Mr. Mayor, and yeah, to that question, I think it is important to note that there are processes in place to ensure that, new growth is paying for itself. So the township does collect development charges on new growth, which funds, critical infrastructure ranging from, roadways to fire apparatus, et cetera. So when we have that new growth, we're recovering development charges, which are a kind of a one-time tax at the outset of development that funds reserves that go forward to pay for those types of costs that you're concerned about that are brought on by that new growth. So it's kind of a very general explanation of development charges, but it is one control that's in place to address some of those issues that you brought forward this evening.
But we did hear from the developer that development cost, and the reason for this is that those townhomes, to make it more lucrative, that they could get those townhomes in now.
Right, and the developer would certainly be scaling those types of costs, such as DCs, into scaling their business.
Right.
That's a part of their cost, but again, that's revenue that's collected by the municipality to address those future costs that are brought on by growth.
Okay.
Yep.
Just to finalize that
Yep.
with the capacity talk and everything, especially in the sanitary and water department, has the 20-year development plan for Blandford-Blenheim been also brought into making with this decision? I know there's future commercial structures, there's future auxiliary buildings that will also be vying for that capacity as well. So if we're talking about this phase and we're already pushing, capacity for several services, have we looked at it from a global perspective, from a Blandford-Blenheim, what's coming in, commercial, industrial, or any of the other sectors?
Yeah, so we did a whole strategic plan for Drumbo would be about 2 years ago now, maybe a little bit less. So we have done a whole strategic plan for Drumbo and exactly where we want to see commercial growth. Just down from here where this roadway is, there's planned for a commercial area somewhere in this area as well as the other side of Drumbo. For people that are here, the Bowman Pond area, I call it, which is up just before the train tracks heading out 29. That's that open land that's there. That's another area that's been designated for commercial. There is some industrial area that's actually been designated in here as well. So yeah, we've gone through the whole plan of where we want to be. I know that this is the first phase for waste treatment in Drumbo. There's actually a second phase that's in the works right now to add more. So, and I think that would get us up to, is it about 250 roughly?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the talks are ongoing with the Ministry of the Environment, and that's really going to determine how much more capacity can be brought in, and what the ministry is agreeing to. If it's okay to just give a general overview of the wastewater treatment plant, yes, you are correct. There is a second phase coming on, but what it should be noted as is that even with the second phase, we will not have enough capacity to actually service the entirety of the lands inside of the settlement of Drumbo. So if we look at the lands to the south of this development, not all those lands are going to be able to be developed with what is being proposed for the upgrade. So what that means is our capacity is first come, first serve basis. Our secondary plan did lay out how we believe that the order should go, of course, but it is first come, first serve. But it should be pointed out that not the entirety of the village is going to be able to be developed at this time. And at this time, there has not been a plan put forward for what happens after that second upgrade to the system. So still balls in the air for sure, but I just want to lay that out there for the situation with the wastewater treatment plant right now.
So the effluent, without getting a whole lot into it, but the effluent that comes out of our waste treatment facility goes into what they call the Cowan Drain, which runs along the north side of Drumbo and heads out. And this second phase of waste treatment, the Cowan Drain, that's as much as it'll handle the effluent. So anything on beyond that would be probably having to go all the way to the NIF. That would probably be the next, if we want to go any farther in that, which will be a costly adventure to get it there. So like the planner Dustin was saying, that the phases on the behind the school and behind that way is probably down the road a ways, unless another way of getting rid of the effluent comes in. So hope that kind of, and just one other thing too about the fire, the fire. So we've just purchased a ladder truck. It takes roughly 3 years, I believe, to get here. So it's got about 2.5 years to come. So by bringing a ladder truck in, that really will help fighting house fires or any other structure fires, because of the height we'll be able to come down in. So we have ordered that as well to bring into the townships.
Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Demers.
If I could just add one thing. If you haven't seen the secondary plan, have you
Yep.
seen the secondary plan for Drumbo?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, because it is posted on our website.
Yep.
And if you look through that or get a chance to read through that, there's a very structured plan in place to build out. And if there's any piece of that puzzle that doesn't exist in the form of wastewater or water systems, then it just doesn't happen, as Dustin said. So anybody here, if you haven't seen it, I would take a look at it. It's on our website, and it's quite comprehensive.
Perfect, thank you so much.
Okay, is there anybody else that wishes to speak? No? Okay.
My name is John LeBret, and I live across the road from the proposed subdivision, which I don't have a problem with. What my concern is we don't know very much about this water pond. And if you're familiar at all with the topography in that area, it's steep. And I don't know how, or what the proposal is, and if Brandon can tell us, that'd be great. How do you account for that change in elevation from the outlet from that thing to the extent that's shown there? Like, the difference in elevation is major. So, I guess you could say, well, as the pond fills up, it just discharges more. Well, discharges more into a drain that's fixed in size. That was sized a long time ago. And I guess my other question is with climate change, which we certainly saw last year, the ditch on our side of the road was full of water. The water was going over top of the driveway. What are we using to size that thing? And reading on the internet, they're basically saying that the science for doing drains is way ahead of actually what the standards are. Meaning that you could size it per the standards and it wouldn't be big enough. And maybe, I just would like to know where we are on it. Because you've got a size on there, and if the size changes, that changes everything on that side of the street.
Okay, I know I can't answer that question. I don't know if there's, is that something, Adam?
I can just say that the developer would have engineers doing some work with this, and then our engineers also double check and comment and make sure that the proposed stormwater management system is designed so that it can, as you're saying, discharge into that drain properly without overwhelming it.
But we have a size right now, so what went into the sizing of it right now?
Well, I don't know what the engineers have
Yeah.
calculations are directly, but I know that there's two of them on it.
I guess I would like to know if there is somebody that could.
Yeah.
I don't know if Dustin could answer that.
I can speak to it. Through you, Mr. Mayor, that's just that's technical information that we don't have in front of us right now. It's something that, you know, was submitted on behalf of the developer to the engineer that obviously peer reviews the application on behalf of the township. So, you know, if you'd like some more technical information on sort of what enabled two engineers to approve that design, we'd be happy to follow up with you, and I can see about providing that
I would like you to
information.
follow up.
I just don't have it available in front of me right now. It's something that
like I say, it's-
once it's stamped, we receive it and sort of take it from there by the professional engineers. Yeah.
Like if there is a size there on the, and if the size changes, I think this makes a major change to this proposal right now.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, I don't know if it's right or wrong or anything else, it's just that we are concerned. And I guess we're concerned because the outlet goes down through the neighbor's farm, and it can only take so much at a time. So, is that being considered?
Yeah, Dustin, go ahead.
Yeah, one thing I do want to just put out there, just to maybe put some minds at ease, is condition 11 that is being recommended here tonight does indicate that the township's engineers, and if necessary, the GRCA, have to be satisfied with what is being proposed for the stormwater management plan. So it's not going to be able to be approved until, in this case, K-Smart, who's been consulted or contracted by the township for engineering services, is satisfied with what is being proposed. So those conversations will continue at this time until they get to a point where everybody is satisfied with it. So that's condition number 11 as part of the draft plan approval.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, John? And then we'll have Josh follow up with you as well.
I would appreciate that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay, is there anybody else that wishes to comment? Nope, I'm not seeing any. Okay. Does the applicant or agent wish to reply any issues raised?
No, I don't think so. Microphone.
Sure.
I say I don't think so, and then I come up to the podium.
Yeah.
Just further to Mr. Bradley's comment, certainly the final detailed engineering design does have to be approved by the township's engineer. I'm not an engineer, but basically what they have to do when we're at this stage, they have to sort of understand they call it the pre-condition versus the post-condition. So what's happening now, what water is coming across this property, and where is it draining to? So you said the drain is of a finite size that this goes to. And that's what they have to design for. So the stormwater management pond is designed to hold up to the 100-year storm, they call it. That's the design parameters. That's a 100-year storm, or the Hurricane Hazel storm, is kind of the amount of rainfall in a short period of time that the storm has to account for. And then it has to hold it there and just let it go slowly enough that the receiving drain or water course or whatever it is can accept it without, overflowing or causing downstream impacts. So at this stage, it's a high-level review. It looks at all the rainfall that lands on this property and travels through this property before anything happens. And then it looks at, after you do development, you have new roads and roofs, so not as much water is going into the ground. How do you collect that? How do you hold it? And then how do you release it so you're not flooding somebody downstream? The final details of that all need to be worked out. If the sizing was completely wrong and the storm pond had to change, then the plan would have to change before the engineers would approve it, and it's likely less lots get built than more, because the pond probably becomes bigger in the worst case scenario. But right now it's kind of at the proof of concept stage, and then you get into the details of figuring out the plan after that. So I hope that provides some clarification. And I think that's it. The rest of the council, Dustin did a great job responding to the other comments.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, are there any members of council have any questions or require any further information for clarification? So what we're deciding is whether 47 or 62, that's what we're deciding here today, or unless council has some other idea of numbers in there, but that's what we're deciding here. Okay, go ahead.
I'm comfortable with the 47, but hearing some of the concerns, I do question that this street won't be finished if we're hearing that we have some started developments that don't get finished. If those townhouses aren't finished, then we are leaving a chunk of land that is going to possibly sit for quite some time. So I know our capacity is the discussion, and Oxford County is comfortable with the 47, and I agree. I do also think that leaving that undeveloped space is kind of the concern we are hearing about some of the other lands, and that makes me a bit nervous if we're going to sit on that. But the 47 is okay too.
Okay. Councilor Banbury.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, I agree with Councilor Young. The developer did make some very vital points, I think. And it is an arbitrary decision on behalf of the county Public Works Department, I guess, that limit it to 42, is it? Or 47, whatever it is. I don't know. I think I'd like to see the water looped, for one thing, because I know there are issues with water unless it can be kept fresh. And like Councilor Young said, with the street there, it would be nice to have that at least in place. And I think, like I've said before, the developer, they have their feet on the ground. They know what they're doing. They've been in the business. They're laying out a whole lot of money to do this development. So personally, I would be in favor of allowing the greater number of lots.
Okay, Councilor Demers.
I believe there's an option to propose the 47 lots plus 15 townhouses, correct?
Yep.
It's probably going to be a surprise to the rest of council, but I would actually be supportive of that scenario, adding the townhouse bungalows, and for two reasons specifically. Tiffany Developments is a known quantity. They're already a qualified vendor, as well, and so is GSP is a very well-respected engineering firm. So they're coming to us with experience, a very well thought out plan here. I was very impressed with some of the additional information that was provided. The other thing that I found really interesting was the style of the 15-unit townhouse bungalows that were being proposed as well. And I guess that's the second reason. Man, do we ever need those? We need, you know, and we've brought this up before in our council discussions, you know, going door to door when campaigning, that was always top 3 of what people wanted. They wanted a place to be able to retire in the community. And, you know, we do have smaller homes that we're proposing here for the individual lots. And I think, you know, that makes a lot of sense for families, et cetera. But, you know, these 15 units sort of specifically targeted at our folks that want to retire seems to be something that we really need. So, not to overcomplicate things, but I would actually propose that, you know, that we look at maybe going offside here a little bit with Oxford County and proposing, you know, those units plus the 15 that the developer is interested in building out.
Thank you. Councilor Barnes, any comment?
Yeah, I think I kind of agree with you as well, but because if we don't do that, then we'll end up pretty much with the same scenario with Peterson Street if we don't finish that street. Right, so
Okay.
I think like 62.
Yeah. So I know for me, when I came here, I was kind of 50-50. I look at it that our number normally is 25 is what the Public Works is normally what they allow, and we were almost doubling it to get to 47. But when I sit and look at the map and I look at it of finishing that street off, that's the part for me that kind of catches my eye. I know there's still some of the other townhouses, but they'll be facing on E or B Street. And by finishing that off, and the other part I looked at the location of the park. And if we have that area ready for a parkland, and those, especially the 6 townhouses that are across the street, if we don't finish it, I'm worried about the safety of that and the residents coming along there. So that for me was, I could have gone either way with both of it, but to finish that street off, it tends to kind of make sense to me. I know I had other ideas. I thought, you know, maybe we, instead of doing the houses along the front of the stormwater management pond, that we use that would put it to 48. That was kind of an idea I had thought in my head that, then, but then once again, Street F isn't finished. So now you got all the houses on the other side that are going to be sitting with a mess across the road. They could be there for a couple of years before that's developed, and then we're going in and starting all over again. So I've kind of jumped back and forth. So I am going to vote in favor of it as well, of going to 62. I was a little iffy of whether I was going to do that, but I think after everything that's presented here, that's what I'm going to support as well. So, anything else from council? Okay, this application will be dealt with by council at its regular meeting immediately following this public meeting. And now I'll officially close this public meeting and a resolution to rise, please.
Be it hereby resolved that the public meeting be adjourned and that the regular meeting of council reconvene.
Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councilor Young, second by Councilor Banbury. All in favor? And opposed, if any? And that's carried. Okay, do you want me to just take a 2-minute break or go ahead? Okay, let's just go ahead. We'll go with the first one.
Be it hereby resolved that the Township of Blandford-Blenheim approve the zone change application submitted by 2162037 Ontario Incorporated, whereby the lands described as Part Lot 11, Lots 12 and 13, Plan 65, in the Township of Blandford-Blenheim are to be rezoned from Residential Type 1 Zone R1 to Special Residential Type 1 Zone R1 SP to permit the development of an undersized residential parcel.
If we could just try and be quiet for a few minutes, please. If we can get everybody to be quiet, please, for a few minutes so we can finish. Thank you. Okay.
So I'll finish that. Did you
Okay, can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councilor Demers, second by Councilor Banbury. Any comments? All in favor? And opposed, if any? And that's carried. Okay, and we'll do the other one.
I have a question of the planner.
Okay. You know what? Why don't I just take we'll just take a couple-minute break, and we'll get this clarified, and if, Anybody wants to leave, they're welcome to leave. So we'll just take a few minutes break so we get this clarified. Thank you, everybody. What's that? Yeah. Just easier. What's that? What's that? Okay, we'll get things going. Okay, we're all good? Okay, go ahead.
Be it hereby resolved that the Township of Blandford-Blenheim approve in principle the zone change applications, file number ZN12101, submitted by Tiffany Development Corporation, whereby a portion of the lands described as Part Lot 12, Concession 7, Parts 2 and 3, Registered Plan 41R165, be rezoned from Special Development Zone D8 and Special General Agricultural Zone A229 to Special Residential Type 1 Zone R1SP, Special Residential Type 3 Zone R3SP, Recreational Zone REC, and Special Open Space Zone OSSP to facilitate a draft plan of subdivision for 47 single detached dwelling lots and 15 townhouse dwelling lots. And that the Council of the Township of Blandford-Blenheim advise County Council that the Township supports the application for official plan amendment, file number OP 21061, submitted by Tiffany Development Corporation for the lands described as Part Lot 12, Concession 7, Parts 2 and 3, Registered Plan 41R165 to redesignate a portion of the subject lands from low-density residential to medium-density residential and open space. And further, that the Council of the Township of Blandford-Blenheim advise County Council that the Township supports the draft plan of subdivision, file number SB 21021, submitted by Tiffany Development Corporation for the lands described as Part Lot 12, Concession 7, Parts 2 and 3, Registered Plan 41R165, consisting of 47 lots for single detached dwellings, 15 townhouse dwelling lots, a stormwater management block, a park block, the extension of Jarvis Street, and the construction of a new internal road connecting Oxford Road 29, Oxford Street East, to Jarvis Street, subject to the conditions being met prior to final approval of the plan for registration as outlined in Report CP 2024-368 as amended.
Bet your council's glad they don't have to read those resolutions anymore. Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Demers, second by Councillor Banbury. Any discussion or comments? I think we've had a good one already. Okay, all in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, now we're on to delegations, none, correspondence, none, specific general we have. Okay,
Be it hereby resolved that the general correspondence items be received as information.
okay, any comments on that at all? Nope, can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Young, seconded by Councillor Barnes. All in favor? And opposed if any, and that's carried. Okay, and we're into staff reports. Adam, please, our drainage superintendent.
Evening, Council.
Welcome, Adam.
Two reports today. First one is a petition for, appointment of engineer. That is for the petition signed by Westside Communities to modify and relocate the Hall Farm branch of the Plattsville Drainage Works 2007 and incorporate storm drains and stormwater management systems. GRCA has been notified of council's intention to proceed. We have not heard anything from them. We have not received any requests for cost benefit statements or environmental appraisal. And therefore we can recommend that we appoint K-Smart Associates to prepare a new report as per Section 4 of the Drainage Act.
Okay, any questions from council? Be nice to finally see this moving, for sure. Okay, go ahead.
Be it hereby resolved that Report DS 2420 be received as information, and whereas the Grand River Conservation Authority have not registered any comments to the petition for drainage work for the part of Lot 17, Concession 12, Blenheim, to modify and relocate the Hall Farm branch of the Plattsville Drainage Works 2007 and incorporate storm drains and stormwater management systems from Westside Communities, Plattsville Incorporated. Be it resolved that Council appoints K. Smart and Associates Limited, 85 McIntyre Drive, Kitchener, Ontario, N2R1H6, to prepare a new drainage report as per the petition in accordance with Section 4 of the Drainage Act.
Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Demers, second by Councillor Young. Any comments? Nope, all in favor? And opposed if any, and that's carried. Thank you. Okay, and your monthly report.
There were a few more calls for repairs in November. as farmers worked in their fields and discovered issues. We had a meeting with some landowners to discuss the petition process, and we'll be bringing a petition forward to next council. There's 27 locates for the month, including 1 emergency locate. And in Princeton, the work on the second storm pond is going quite well. 4 bays almost complete, and the contractor is preparing to install the inlet structure. And if you've been through Princeton, you can see that ViewCon is pretty much wrapped up. And that's about it for my report. Any questions?
Okay, any questions from council on the report? Not seeing any? Okay, go ahead.
Be it hereby resolved that report DS 2421 be received as information.
Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Banbury, seconded by Councillor Young. Any comments? All in favor? Opposed, if any? And that's carried. Thank you, Adam. Okay, and next is Trevor Bear, our Director of Community Services. Welcome, Trevor.
Welcome. Good afternoon. Just here to do the monthly report for the community services. From an administration side, we've reached out to the co-op student, our co-op program and recreation program through Conestoga College. We're looking at getting a co-op student, which will work on the front line and do administration work, do some programming, budgeting, and a little bit of everything that community services does. This person will be in doing some capacity of it. So we've signed up for that. We're having meetings with a few students next week. Plaza Playground project has been completed. It was completed on Friday. There's a little bit of cleanup yet, which our staff, in-house staff, will do just around the area. There was 4 pieces of new equipment put in, with accessible playground flooring put in as well. So, not sure when the grand opening is going to be yet. Trillium Foundation hasn't got back to us yet on when we're going to be doing that. So you guys will be kept updated when that happens. Had a few meetings with the Princeton Playground construction companies. December 16th is when they're going to start putting in the playground. And the flooring depends on conditions of the weather, but we would like to do it this year as well. So, but we'll see what happens outside. We unveiled the Purple Bench project. DART staff commented after how good it was, and it was received really well by the community. Thanks to council for getting that project started. And yeah, so that's in the park now. Went over well. Christmas decorations and holiday lights are up in the downtown cores. Staff got those all up. There's a few holiday Christmas events throughout the communities. Bright Parade is this Saturday, Plattsville is Saturday, and December 14th is Princeton Hall, and Santa in Drumbo is December 20th at the Parkette, at the gazebo. They'll be around 6:30. We are still cutting grass in the month of November, and just so council knows that we were working outside still. The arena activities been pretty busy. Regular rental groups. We do have 8 free public skating sessions over the holidays, and we have 15 sponsors for those public skate sessions. So that's what we've kind of been doing over the month of November.
Okay, any questions on the report from council? Nope. I'm going to make kind of a comment. I know that's for usually after, but I'm going to make a comment anyway. Over at Plattsville, at the playground, the project that went on there, I had a chance to go out and walk on it and look at it. It's absolutely amazing. Thank God we got rid of those pea stones. I'll be glad to see them all gone in the township. Well, they're still there, I guess, technically, but yeah, no, it's absolutely amazing how soft it is to walk on it, and to be able to have the accessibility part of it is fantastic. I think it's something we need to have in all our communities going forward. So I'm looking forward to see Princeton's getting done, and if you get a chance to go over to Plattsville and go take a look at it, I don't know if the fences are down yet or not, but
fences are down, but it's covered in snow right now.
Yeah. But it's if you get a chance to go over there, please take a look at it. It is really absolutely amazing what they got there. So thank you, Trevor, and your group for getting that done. And I think that's it. Anything else from council? Okay, and resolution, please.
Be it hereby resolved that report CS 2417 be received as information.
Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Demers, second by Councillor Barnes. Any comments, since I already did them? Okay, all in favor? And opposed, if any, and that's carried. Thank you. Okay, and Jim Borton, Director of Public Works, he's under the weather today, so we'll have our CEO, Josh, present that report, please.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'll provide a quick summary here based on the report that Jim had authored. So in terms of capital, we've got the Princeton Pond Expansion Project. The Drainage Superintendent spoke to that. Princeton Phase 3, the north section, majority of the work complete. Bridge 24 environmental assessment, these reports are completed, just responding to comments that have been received on that work. Bridge 38 deck repair, which was previously approved by council, there has been work at the site. However, I understand that there are some supplies that we are awaiting, which is delaying that project. Additionally, the Director of Public Works Tenant Shared Services meeting, in addition to the Road Association meeting for the Oxford Group and the AORS meeting. I will note here in other, he notes that the month of November has been unseasonably warm. I should mention that he wrote this report on November the 26th, and since the report was submitted, we've been dealing with some substantial snow events. So as far as I understand, everything is going well on that front. Winter control is in full effect, though, and our staff have shifted their attention to addressing that. So with that said, happy to answer any questions that council might have.
Any questions from council on the report? Not seeing any. Councillor Banbury.
I just wonder what kind of maintenance they're doing on the Motherall Bridge on the 2nd. They've been working there for a couple of days. Does anybody know anything about that?
I know nothing about it.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, and to council member, I can follow up with the Director of Public Works, and I'll get you a response.
That's not a big deal. I just had an inquiry. Well, I actually stopped and talked to the flagman yesterday morning, I guess it was, and he said, oh, they're just doing regular maintenance, but the bridge has been there since the early 70s, I think. It's a concrete bridge. They must be working underneath doing something. I was just curious to know what's going on.
Wasn't there some holes in the decking of it? Wasn't there some?
I know the one down there is, maybe they were working on the bridge joints maybe or something.
Maybe.
Must have
It's
been
usually
working
kind of
underneath.
Yeah, maybe I'm thinking of the one that's.
Yeah, down that way.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, there were some holes. Okay, yeah, I don't know.
Maybe they're doing the.
Anyway, they had a flagman at each end standing out in that cold weather all day yesterday.
Yeah.
Well, today too, probably.
Yeah.
Didn't look like my kind of work.
Okay, anything else from council? Okay, go ahead.
Be it hereby resolved that report PW 2427 be received as information.
Okay, can I get a mover and seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Young, second by Councillor Banbury. Any comments? All in favor? And opposed, if any, and that's carried. Okay, reports from council members. Anything? Councillor Demers.
Just a bit of an addition to the December 20th Santa Drive. That's being sponsored by a few organizations or service clubs in Drumbo. This year we are adding a tractor parade. So anybody who has a tractor that they would like to decorate, and they can ride behind the fire truck with Santa. So that should be fun. It hasn't been advertised yet, so I thought I'd start by bringing it up here in council.
Perfect. Anything else from, oh, sorry.
Councillor? Do you have any tractors you want to decorate?
Oh, yeah. 3 or 4 tractors, but I don't know.
They'll have to have a cab on it, or it'll be too cold for you.
Yeah, sure, right there. Only got 3 that would be eligible.
Yeah. Okay, anything else from council? No, just remind about the times, 2 o'clock on Saturday in Bright and 7 o'clock in, 7 o'clock? 6:30, sorry, 6:30 in Plattsville. Okay? All right, unfinished business, motions, notice of motions. Imagine we're in bylaws. New business, oh, sorry, closed session, yes.
Be it hereby resolved that council move into closed session under the authority of Section 239 of the Municipal Act at 5:28 p.m. to to discuss A, report CAO 2445, advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, section 239-2F, regarding legal advice, and B, report CAO 2446, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal employees, section 239-2B, regarding legal advice.
Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Demers, second by Councillor Young. All in favor? And opposed, if any? And that's carried. And we'll wait a few minutes and then we'll get
Be it hereby resolved that council does now adjourn from closed session and resume into open session at 5:40 PM and reports the following: that council provided direction to staff regarding report CAO 2445 and CAO 2446.
Okay, can I get a mover and a second, please? Moved by Councillor Barnes, second by Councillor Demers. All in favor? And opposed, if any, and that's carried. Okay, and bylaws.
Be it hereby resolved that the following bylaws be now read a first and second time. 2466, 2024, being a bylaw to establish the Corporation of the Township of Blandford-Blenheim fees and charges. 2467, 2024, being a bylaw to appoint bylaw enforcement officers. 2468, 2024, being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 1360, 2002 as amended for ZN 12413. 2469, 2024, being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 1360, 2002 as amended, ZN 2414. 2470, 2024, being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 1360, 2002 as amended, ZN 12415. 2471, 2024, being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 1360, 2002 as amended, ZN 12419. 2472, 2024, being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 1360, 2002 as amended, ZN 12421, and 2473, 2024, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council.
Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Demers, second by Councillor Banbury. All in favor? And opposed, if any, and that's carried. And third reading.
Be it hereby resolved that the following bylaws be now read a third and final time. 2466, 2024, being a bylaw to establish the Corporation of the Township of Blandford-Blenheim fees and charges. 2467, 2024, being a bylaw to appoint bylaw enforcement officers. 2468, 2024, being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 1360, 2002 as amended for ZN 12413. 2469, 2024, being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 1360, 2002 as amended for ZN 12414. 2470, 2024, being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 1360, 2002 as amended for ZN 12415. 2471, 2024, being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 1360, 2002 as amended for ZN 12419. 2472, 2024, being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 1360, 2002 as amended for ZN 12421. And 2473, 2024, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council.
Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Young, seconded by Councillor Demers. All in favor? Opposed, if any, and that's carried. Anything under other? Nope, and adjournment.
Whereas business before council has been completed at 5:42 PM, be it hereby resolved that council adjourn to meet again on Wednesday, December 18th, 2024 at 4 PM.
Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Demers, second by Councillor Banbury. All in favor? Opposed, if any, and that's carried. Thank you, Council.